wonderful good day to you. This is Owen McCafferty. I am speaking thanks to the kindness of Professional Fusion on short topics of issue that relate to the practice of veterinary medicine, dentistry, and human dermatology from a financial, accounting, tax, and practice management standpoint. We have a lot of different issues. This one I'd like to address relates to really knowing what you're doing when you're comparing inter-practice analytics. I know that sounds like a mouthful, but simply stated, a lot of people out there espouse a knowledge that really don't understand the components. The specific issue is, in accounting, there's different bases of accounting. There's the cash method, there's the income tax method, which could be cash or could be accrual. There is generally accepted accounting principles that is normally identified through the United States as the authoritative means by which information is being assembled, with a whole gob of rules and complications and constantly changing requirements that really make a person very confused. Then there's the International Financial Reporting Standard that a good part of the rest of the civilized world uses based upon a variation of what generally accepted accounting principles are. They're not the same. In the United States, generally accepted accounting principles have adopted some of the issues that relate to the International Financial Reporting Standard, but they differ. 99% of professional practices in the United States use a very simple method, a special purpose framework method. And most commonly of the special purpose framework methods, we use the income tax method. Now, the income tax method can either be cash-based or accrual-based. Within veterinary medicine, for the larger practice groups, that is practices grossing in excess of $2 million, they will most probably be using the special purpose framework income tax method that is accrual-based. Under the accrual method, income is recognized as earned and expenses and costs are deducted as incurred. On a cash method of accounting, income is recognized as received, not earned, and expenses and costs are recognized as disbursed, not incurred. So with that in mind, there's some differences that relate to each one of these components. And in your analytic process, you really have to understand what the basis of accounting is, what country you're dealing in, and how reliable can the information be. Second issue that relates to the discussion point is the entity structure that you're in. Now again, let's use veterinary medicine to start out with. Within veterinary medicine, you could be dealing with a companion animal general exclusive practice, a companion animal emergency clinic, a companion animal specialty group, or a derivation of some of those. Each will have separate racial relationships based on the operation and the conduct of each practice group. There could also be a mixed animal practice. That is a practice that treats a companion animal segment, an equine segment, a food animal segment, all wrapped up in one practice group. And they're going to have different ratios. Usually expenses and costs will be greater in those mixed animal practice groups. An equine practice could have different margins of operation. So for example, an equine ambulatory practice will have a different margin, especially in relationship to facilities, than an in-hospital equine practice, and then a practice that provides both ambulatory and in-hospital services is going to have a further ratio. The problem is that the very people that speak to you about each one of these components in analytics really don't understand the nuances. And the conclusions that you may reach after listening to the recommendations of some of these very well-intentioned souls is possibly going to be faulty. So in dealing with inter-practice comparisons, that is among different practices, you really have to know the components. I found that a study group, for example, the veterinary study groups under the entity known as Veterinary Management Group, provides a really good narrative of the different types of practices, because when they form these groups, they try to bring together in groups comparable practice sizes, complexities, structures, and in the course of the instruction over a period of years, each member of the study group understands the nuances and the differences of the other practices within that group. That is, in my opinion, the most superior form of inter-practice comparisons. A second form of inter-practice comparison would be that which you would find through the Hail Mary sampling plan. That's when you get down on your knees and you pray to God that someone will respond to a survey. And then you would assemble the survey and you bring it into a magazine or an email blast, usually coupled with a marketing effort, in order to gather the attention of people so that they will then look at the products that you have, but unfortunately, sometimes misleading those individuals who do not have a good understanding of where things sit. So inter-practice comparisons become a challenge. Sometimes associations will go through a rather exhaustive compilation. The problem with analytics, especially historical analytics, is that they become less than fresh. The assembly of the information, the coordination of the information, making sure that you're not in violation with anything relating to the Federal Trade Commission in the United States or any other antitrust group worldwide, limits the capacity of the comparability. Of course, I'm prejudiced, but the most efficacious and efficient form of communication is dealing with a CPA or consultant who's specialized in knowledge to your specific profession, be that in veterinary medicine, dentistry, and dermatology, that understands the nuance and furthermore understands how information is assembled and by whom. There's a lot of errors that exist today in the compilation of the information. And in hopes of trying to gain very quick information, the information isn't really as accurate. So let's move from the inter-practice difficulties that you have to be aware of and look at intra-practice comparisons. Well, within the practice, especially from year to year, period to period, trailing 12-month period, quarterly basis, monthly basis, whatever annualization that you would like to use, the comparability using a consistent chart of accounts applied on a periodic basis by knowledgeable individuals where adjustments can be made to obtain the most accurate and reliable financial information provides you with the best by far, even better than study groups, of comparability. Your practice and the story of your practice and its operation and how things occur, the saga of what you did in changing things like personnel assemblage, purchasing, location, facilities. All of these different components are immediately known by you, can be then used on a comparative basis. I strongly recommend you consider these. And then with that, there's new tools that are available. Generative artificial intelligence is allowing there to be comparability by feeding information into a tool such as Chat GPT 4.0, Teams, and using that information on a comparative basis to come up with new insights. There's dangers with Chat GPT 4.0, one of which is that if the information isn't known, Chat doesn't want to disappoint you. What they will do is create mythology, fiction. Sometimes if you're not knowledgeable and capable of discerning fact from fancy, it could be dangerous. So with that in mind and different components that exist, I strongly recommend that you consider inter and intra-practice comparisons with a grain of salt. Bring your CPA involved in the discussion. Your CPA may or may not have adequacy of knowledge in your specific profession. Then bring a consultant into the discussion. The consultant will have a better understanding, but may not necessarily understand the nuances. Of course, the best possible circumstance is to bring a CPA who is also a consultant and has spent multiple decades devoted to your profession. There's a lot of variations that exist. Dentistry is the same issue, maybe not as intense in terms of species, but it's basically the same issue. There's a lot of very fine people that are consultants, that are CPAs, that are focused towards those specific practice groups. And in some instances, there's great attorneys with knowledge, especially in dentistry, or brokers who sell dental practice groups up and down every day that may also provide you with a wisdom and a knowledge base. In human dermatology, there are similar issues relating to the importance of gaining the same chart of accounts, classification, variation. In all instances, I recommend the accrual method of accounting. As your practices get larger, the accrual method becomes the best possible measurement. There's so many different things we can do. Purpose of these discussions is to provide a beginning point. And that is the purpose of this discussion. I want to say thank you very much. Deeply appreciate your time. Again, just call me Owen, and I will talk to you in a bit.